You okay?
Welcome back.
We're back.
We're back. Sweet Science Boxing and MMA in Hawthorne, California. I'm Chris, your boxing enthusiast, and with me, as always, returning from a 1-week vacation, should we call it? It was work.
It
wasn't vacation.
It was a business trip.
A business trip. Making some of the finest boxing equipment in the world.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back in America and glad to be back in one piece.
Yeah.
I'm alive.
And as always, of course, they know Marco Trejo, the owner, Sweet Science Boxing and MMA, fellow boxing enthusiast, professional boxing coach and insider, and my very good friend. Welcome back, buddy.
Yeah, thanks. Good to be back.
All right, who do we got with us here today?
Today we got a very special guest. We just had a very big fight on Friday, May 4th at StubHub. Is the hottest prospect in boxing right now. Everybody knows them as The Flash, right? Ryan Garcia.
That's right.
And today we have the man credited with discovering him, Roger Ruiz. He's manager for Ryan Garcia, also owner of Legendz Boxing Gym and owner-developer of BoxStats, which is the #1 boxing app right now. Welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for being here, man.
Thank you, guys. Glad to be here.
Yeah, almost called you Ryan Ruiz there.
Ryan Ruiz. Oh, that's okay. The other day I was checking in. I said, "This is Roger Garcia." I'm checking in. They're like,
Yeah. So you must have had a busy weekend, huh?
Yeah, we had fun. We had a great fight. It was really exciting to fight at the StubHub. I mean, the StubHub is home of some of the best fights in boxing, here in LA. So that's where all the action happens. It's the home of some of the rowdiest boxing and enthusiastic boxing fans. They'll let you know whether they like you or they don't like you.
Yeah.
You'll know there at the StubHub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting how that works out. You know what I mean? I feel like the mecca of boxing moves around. Like at one point it was Madison Square Garden. It was the Great Western Forum over here. Las Vegas, T-Mobile, but StubHub has kind of found its way in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think what it is the outdoor environment.
Yeah.
And, it gets hot. It gets hot out there. So when people get hot, they go drink beer.
Yeah.
And they come back, with a little bit of attitude.
Yeah, for sure.
Makes them love the fights even more,
Yeah.
especially if it's a good fight. I kind of feel that, was it Provodnikov and Bradley? They fought there.
Yeah, they did.
And
they did.
I kind of feel ever since then, or that really cemented that place as like
Yeah.
this is where you have wars,
Absolutely.
But even before that, I think Alvarado and Brandon Rios, their first fight was there.
Okay.
Yeah. So Oscar Valdez, his last fight was
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw Kermit Cintron fight Paul Williams.
So
there.
did I.
That's when he jumped out of the ring.
He jumped out of the ring like in the third round or fourth round. Yeah.
Yeah. So very eventful place.
That is not one of those fights.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, hey, so your guy, you manage him, Ryan Garcia. He fought there May 4th, which was this past Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the promotion before the fight, and Ryan was saying the place is going to be sold out. How was the attendance there?
I think we had 6,500 plus people there, which is good because 2 of the fights fell out. 2 of the big, I think ticket sellers that were supposed to be there weren't there. Alexis Rocha and I believe another fighter.
Oh, wow.
So there were some great fights scheduled also throughout, for the undercard. We had Spike O'Sullivan there also.
Yeah.
He brought in a crowd. Even though they're from overseas, but he's very popular out here too. So that was his first fight out here on the West Coast. I'm not sure if he has fought before on the East Coast, but real cool dude.
Yeah.
That guy, very classy. Did you guys see his?
I saw his
after his
ring
weigh-in. After his weigh-in, he comes in, puts a 3-piece suit on.
Yeah. And he was fighting. That fighter was undefeated, right? Was he like
I'm not sure his record.
Yeah, but Spike got the win. Picked it up.
Yeah, it was good. And Ryan did a great job. At the end of the day, people got to remember, Ryan is 19 years old.
Yeah.
People keep talking about this Gervonta Davis. Ryan calls out everybody because that's what he's supposed to do as a young up and coming fighter. He's supposed to do that. He's supposed to grab attention.
Yeah.
From these guys that are in there that are a little bit more seasoned, more experienced. And that's what the young bull does every time. When you have these lions, the young lions challenge the lions out there in the jungle, and that's what Ryan's doing.
Yeah. So to date, would you say that was his toughest test, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. I mean, he went the full distance, 10 rounds.
Yeah.
Ryan was saying he was going to knock him out in round 4, and he's got a lot of knockouts on his record already.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think was the biggest trouble for Garcia throughout the fight?
I really don't think he had any trouble because he outboxed him every round.
Yeah, definitely.
And what we wanted to do was go rounds. That's what we want. That's what we've been wanting to do. So the previous fight, we actually told Golden Boy, hey, get us somebody that's durable, because Ryan really needs to go the distance a little bit more.
Yeah.
So let's step it up a notch. And the last fight, they said, all right, we got somebody. We're a little nervous about it, but this guy is durable. It didn't happen. The previous fight before that.
Yeah, the guy got knocked out in, like a minute and 30 seconds or so?
Yeah. and like I say this all the time, Ryan is a fighter that from day one, he's taking on an opponent, and then the next opponent has been tougher than the previous opponent.
Yeah.
So if you go down his record, he has fought a tougher opponent every single time than his previous opponent. And that's how you build a fighter. I don't care what people say, hey, you should be fighting the world champ. You should be fighting the top. No, you shouldn't. If you know boxing, this is not only a business, but this is also a strategy that we're following. And we're working very well with Golden Boy in creating a great plan for Ryan Garcia to become the next superstar of boxing, the next pay-per-view king of boxing. And it's not a one-man show of saying, hey, let's just go fight the toughest guy out there. No, let's create a real strategic plan for him so that we can gradually get him up there, and people cannot question his record, cannot question his durability, cannot question anything that he does in the ring, because they say, you know what, he's been there, done that. And he started off at 18 years old doing it.
I think we actually, a few episodes ago, we were talking about one of Ryan's previous fights, and we had that same conversation where I was saying, the right thing to do is to step up in class with each fight. And it was after the fight, I forget the gentleman's name. Was it Vargas, where he had something like 52 professional fights or something like that. And I was like, that's a lot of experience that you're putting him in against, right?
Yeah.
So he's dangerous. Danger comes in different ways. Well, it could come from a ton of experience. It could come from durability. It can come from different things. And I think it's important to make the steps. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's how you build a fighter,
Yeah.
I mean, look at any world champion. You could even look at Mayweather. His first 10 fights were opponents.
Yeah.
You can look at Gervonta Davis.
Yeah.
You can look at, anybody that is out there that has a name, they were opponents,
So how do you do that? How do you find the right opponents, or what do you look for? Or who do you work with to make that determination of this is the right next step for him?
Well, fortunately for us, we have one of the best matchmakers in boxing, Robert Diaz, that is on our side as far as working with us. So he's able to, from his experience and from just the different, contacts in boxing that he has a pool of fighters, not only just for us, but for all their fighters, for Golden Boy. And so we're able to really look at, a various number of fighters. Myself as well, I have some of the best matchmakers in boxing that I work with closely, and I get recommendations from them, and we sit down, we talk to Golden Boy, and we say, hey, is this a good opponent for us as a next level fighter, previous from the past? And if we agree, then we take that to the training team, which is, Henry, Ryan's dad. And if Henry agrees, then we take it to the fighter, and we say, Ryan, between everybody here on your team, we feel this is the next best opponent for you. What do you think? Ryan has the ultimate say. He can say, I don't want to fight him, which he's never said. He trusts our opinion. He trusts our experience. And he's able to say, if you guys believe this is the next guy for me, let's do it. So I've never had that ever come back from Ryan where he says, no, we do our job, and we find him the best opponent, and we get him in, and he takes care of him. He knocks him out. And this particular guy, Valdez, we had an option to fight a fighter with less experience. We did. And, the whole team decided, no, this is definitely a time for Ryan to start, proving to some of these, fans that are not as, I want to say, that question his ability.
Critical, right?
Yeah.
Very critical.
And we said, all right, Velez is durable. Velez has been in the ring with some top guys. He's a former world champion contender, and he's strong. The kid is strong. The kid has never been knocked down. He's not a kid. He's 30 years old.
Yeah.
But he was able to get in there and prove what we wanted to do, which Ryan can go to the deep waters. Ryan can go 10 rounds.
Well, he took some good shots from Ryan, and I know he ate some shots to give a few back.
Yeah.
So he looked like a really good opponent. To test Ryan out, especially we were talking before the podcast. 10 rounds is a lot, and 10 rounds is a good test. And
when you haven't done it before in front of everybody, that's a lot of rounds.
Yeah, I mean,
especially at the StubHub.
Yeah, at that level, with those many people.
That's a lot of pressure. Just getting up. Yeah. Just try getting up in the StubHub with everybody there, and just wave at the crowd, and you see what happens. You get nervous. Yeah. And we're just in there waving.
Yeah. That's fun. Yeah, but I think, is it easier or more difficult now to do the matchmaking aspect? Because you look at someone like Jason Velez, and you can watch tape on him, who he is. He's a fighter, and everyone's aware of him. But when he's younger and going through some of those other steps, you may not know what everybody's capabilities are or be able to watch tape or stuff like that. So is it easier to find fights now, or is it harder?
It is easier, but you just got to be more careful. In the beginning, it sometimes can be hard because, you don't have tape. Yeah, you're very unsure. Yeah. And we had a situation one time where we got to the weigh-in, and then we seen how he lined up, and he was a southpaw. Oh. We said, wait a minute, what the hell? This guy's a southpaw.
Yeah, that's always fun.
We found that out at the weigh-in, So yeah, obviously as you get, move up in rankings and you really start having to look at your opponent and possible contenders, and some of these guys are ranked, Yeah. So you're able to find more information on them and you're able to study them a little bit better, but again, it's a tougher fight.
Yeah, they're also better fighters, right? Yeah. That's why they're the step up. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
With Ryan, he's become very popular, especially through Instagram, social media. Mm-hmm. He's considered the most popular rising star in social media. How much of that did you influence or coach to help him get his popularity up, or was that something? He's a young guy, so all the young guys are on. Yeah. They're on the phones.
I just assume
media.
Everyone's on it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this: it doesn't help that. It helps that the girls like him. Yeah. But Ryan has been very active since day one on social media. So he's done a great job of self-promotion. He's done a great job of getting himself out there. And there's no other fighter that has done what he's done so quickly, on social media. Before people would rely on, let me get out there in the newspapers and do some interviews. Let me, traditional media. But this generation, they've got to be social media savvy. If they're not, they're going to be left behind. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, and I gotta imagine that his popularity with that type of audience in boxing, not that it puts pressure on Golden Boy, but they want to put him out. They want to fill up his schedule as much as possible.
Yeah.
So how does that? How does that influence the way you're managing him in his schedule? You want to fight him as much as possible.
Yeah.
You be more selective with his fights. Like I said, Golden Boys, they probably want to put him on every month, right?
Yeah. Well, the key component also is we got to keep the focus on what is the most important part. If he's not winning and he's not knocking guys out and he's not moving up in his career in boxing, everything else doesn't matter, But what Ryan is doing is Ryan is really helping boxing. He's bringing in a different generation. He's bringing in a different type of fan that you only really seen when Oscar De La Hoya was coming up. He had all these girls following him, and just like Oscar said, all those girls' moms were following him, and now their daughters are following Ryan. So Ryan is bringing in more people into boxing that typically would not be into boxing. I'm getting messages from baseball players, singers, actors, companies that have nothing to do with boxing that want to get behind him because he's transcending from traditional boxing into entertainment. So it's different, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan seems like, you know, a lot of people compare him to Oscar in that sense. You hear on every broadcast where you watch Ryan, they think of him as the next Oscar. Can you comment on how that impacts you or how that impacts him as a fighter? That's a big thing to hear. It's kind of a heavy burden to carry a little bit to say you're the next.
He's got some serious comparisons there.
Yeah.
You know, he's the next Oscar, you know, good-looking kid, great fighter. He's the next Canelo, you know, all kinds of comparisons.
I'm going to go with what, you know, Oscar De La Hoya himself said. He said, look, stop telling people that he's the next Oscar De La Hoya. He's better than Oscar De La Hoya.
Yeah.
He is a new, improved. He's the 2.0 version. So that's from Oscar himself.
That's
cool.
He
literally pulled me aside and said, don't say he's the next Oscar De La Hoya. Say he's the next Ryan Garcia. He's the future of boxing.
Yeah.
And we come back to the fact that he brings in people that traditionally would not be in boxing. You know, all these young girls they don't know anything about boxing, but they have all these posters of Ryan Garcia everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's also some, you know, we talked about the social media aspect of it. Does anyone also get nervous about that? I'm curious because as you get fighters who are going to be more and more active in social media, and he has a lot of fans and a lot of followers, you know, you see with celebrities all the time, people put their foot in their mouth or they say something perhaps that they shouldn't say.
Yeah.
How do you
deal
deal
with
that PR
there's
control?
kind of like, there's a fine line between it being a very good thing for someone and being a very bad thing for someone.
Yeah, do you ever have to tell him, hey, don't do that, or
Don't
have to
post
reel
that.
him back in, you know, because he's in a pretty prominent position now where he says something and everybody's
Everybody's watching. Everybody's
Yeah.
watching.
A lot of people ask me, do you coach him on it? And I said, look, he's done a great job on his own. Obviously, he's doing something right. And sometimes some of this controversial, I don't even want to say controversial, something that may grab people's attention is what makes him even more popular, you know. There's comments of he dances and he's having a great time.
Yeah.
And you have comments from guys saying, oh, you look funny dancing. You shouldn't be dancing. You're a fighter. And then you have girls that are commenting the opposite. We love the fact that you're dancing. It makes you seem more real, like an average guy that when you're on your own in front of the mirror, everybody dances in front of the mirror. You just put it out there, you know?
Tell that to Lomachenko. You shouldn't be dancing. You're a fighter.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
So I let him do what he wants. He has a good time. He's never really done anything that, you know, I would say, hey, we shouldn't be doing that. No, he knows what he's doing. He's really, really good on social media, and I give him credit for it.
And do you see that, you know, as his popularity is growing, do you see his focus getting more honed in?
Now, yes, because there's so many things happening. His body's changing, so he's actually getting
he's
his
still
man
growing.
Strength.
Right?
Yeah.
So from a year ago to today, I mean, he hits like a mule. I mean, he's got a punch that, I mean, I one time tried holding the glove, and I'm like, what the heck? You know, I mean, he hits hard. He hits really hard. And he's still growing. He's still developing. You know, so I feel sorry for anybody who gets in the ring with him. Really, not only does he have power, but he's got crazy speed. When you're in front of him and you see him throwing some of these jabs and some of these combinations, you don't realize how fast they are until you're in front of it. Yeah. And that's why he's catching guys and knocking guys out. Now, this particular guy, Velez, he's a seasoned fighter.
Yeah.
He's been in there with some tough guys. So he was able to take some of that punishment, and Ryan adjusted to it because he kept coming in really close and closing that gap and really sticking his head up. And then a lot of people, I don't even think this the ref did a good job of really trying to prevent that, because he kept trying to headbutt. And in my opinion, he kept trying to cut him somehow with the headbutt, because he kept coming up and coming up and coming up. And Ryan, just because he has so much experience, he's able to maneuver around it. And he outboxed him the entire fight.
Yeah, I think we sort of took the same approach to it and said that, you know, from a boxing standpoint, it did seem like a test for him in the sense that, you know, he had to go the full distance. He was standing in front of clearly a better caliber fighter, but also that it's exactly what you need to go through. You know, you kind of have to be battle tested, get some of those rounds in, and get that stuff. So
Absolutely.
congratulations for sure to you and to Ryan for that.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
You did a great job.
Yeah, but there are a lot of fights at StubHub this weekend. Yeah, so we had two days in a row of fights.
Well, I want to know if Ryan's fight had more attendance than the Triple G fight, because I had some friends go there and they said nobody's here.
Yeah.
So
I believe so. I'll get the numbers. I'll get the numbers on both fights.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know that they were very optimistic about breaking the attendance record again with Triple G. I know that he holds the attendance record at StubHub, but given the fact that
do you know how many it is? I don't know. I don't know what it is.
No, I don't recall what it was, but I was at the fight, and it was they sold standing room only tickets, and they also had risers like set up at the top section.
Well, they set up risers for Ryan's fights also, and they sold tickets up there, which is rare. They hardly ever set up those risers because it's a pain in the butt.
Exactly. Yeah, the Triple G fight was the first fight I'd been to at StubHub where they set up the risers, and so you knew like, okay, yeah, there's an attendance thing. But I think they were being optimistic, thinking that he could beat it in that short time frame. Yeah. People were probably disappointed.
Well, we were supposed to fight in Vegas, you know, and you know what happened there. I mean. Yeah, so the fight didn't happen.
You know, so what is your preference? Because you guys have fought. I think you fought once in Canada, right?
Yes.
And most of the fights have been here in LA, though, right?
We fought in Arizona, LA. Yeah, pretty much.
So what is your preference? I mean, as the career goes on, you see the next 5-10 fights here in LA. Going to Vegas. I mean, I guess it all depends on how big the fight is.
One thing I am understanding about boxing is that it's risk versus reward. So I'm not going to put him at risk if I don't see the reward is high enough. So looking back, I'm not going to really consider fighting him outside of the U.S. until I make him a world champion. And that's just the reality of it. I don't want to risk going out to a different country and having any kind of issues with judging or the commissions or the promoters out there to really hinder his record in any way, or the risk of him even getting a draw in any way. So my job is to weigh the risk versus a reward, find him the best possible opponent that is going to continue to improve his skill and challenge him enough so that he can grow as a fighter. And at the same time, on a business side, make sure he's financially compensated for that risk. And I take it very seriously. I mean, I literally sometimes sit down with Golden Boy. We say, no, we're not fighting this guy, or we want to fight this guy. And we really take our time with choosing the opponents and the venue, the location, the positioning on the card. A lot of people don't understand that just because you have a fighter sign a Golden Boy doesn't necessarily mean you're going to fight on the biggest cards with the best positioning on the card. Every manager wants to get his fighter on the best positioning on the card. So I literally got to do my job and fight for him to be best positioned on any card he fights on.
How, that brings up a good point, and both you guys being managers, coaches, gym owners, stuff like that. When I was younger, the O didn't seem as important as it is today. Which is to say that the impression that I get is fighters lost and that was okay. But now it doesn't feel that way to me. Is that just my perspective, or has it always been the case that O is so important?
That started out with Mayweather.
I thought so too. Yeah.
Yeah, before it was like, I want to fight the best. I don't care. Bring me the best. And if I lose, then you know what? I'm gonna start over again. I'm gonna build myself and I want to fight him again. But Mayweather took a different approach. He went, well, I want to make money. And that's why he changed his name to Money Mayweather. And Mayweather looks at it as, I'm not going to take the risk if the reward isn't there. And he strategically held off on some fights that he should have fought if he wanted to fight the best, because he says, no, I'm going to make them wait. I'm going to build it up and I'm going to get a bigger payday. And on top of that, my risk is less. The older that guy gets, the better position I'm going to be. So that's Mayweather. But, things may be changing, because the way right now social media is, Ryan is more popular than some of the biggest pay-per-view stars.
Yeah, for sure.
So things are changing. So Ryan may be able to say, hey, you know what? Because of my popularity, I'm the pay-per-view star. Yeah. So things are changing with social media and the new environment in boxing. and there's not really one big, except for Canelo, pay-per-view draw that you can say, I'm definitely going to watch this fight. This guy is a main event pay-per-view fighter, and he's going to bring the fans.
Well, I wonder how much more like Ryan's just his history with social media, how that's going to influence some of these other fighters that are out there now that are really, trying to get the fights that they want, like Wilder and some of those other guys, like what their strategy is now, because it's kind of you got to have that.
If they don't realize it, they need to quickly.
Wilder went to social media to put the $50 million guarantee out there to
but
Anthony Joshua.
But then it kind of backfired because they said that like he missed the meeting or something. And
Eddie, that was Eddie Hearn saying they had two meetings
big PR
set up, and that for a fight of that magnitude for $50 million, all he's asking is for a contract and a meeting, and it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Crazy.
So.
Well, but I think with what you're talking about, the O in boxing, back in the day, sometimes your stock went up, even if you lost, as long as it was a good fight. If you didn't take a lot of damage and the crowd was entertained, they said, let's do it again.
And I tell you one thing, Ryan's not considering the O. Ryan says, I want to fight the best, but I want to do it at the right time and at the right moment, That's our job.
I want to ask the $1 million question, which after seeing the fight on Friday and knowing what Golden Boy obviously has plans. You have plans, but when do you see him? Can you give us a timeline on when you think he'll be taking on people like Gervonta Davis or any of those world class fighters? Because I've seen him in the amateurs. We don't get too many guys like that coming from the amateurs that have that much raw talent. I think he can become world champion and one of the best out there. But what's your timeline as his manager for him to actually be fighting Gervonta Davis or somebody like that?
It's hard to say because the reality of it is we're taking one step at a time with them. When Robert Diaz said best the other day, when we fight for a world title, it's because he's going to win. And it's not saying that he can't win now. It's just saying we need to develop Ryan to a world championship fighter. And that's what we're doing every fight. That's why, what I posted today was one fight at a time to get to that world title. And so the next fight now is a step up from this guy Velez. Now let's take on a puncher. Let's see how much punch Ryan can take. And let's take the next step and so on and so on. But at the end of the day, I know what Ryan can do. Ryan is a beast. That's why it's so hard to find him sparring, because guys, when they get in the ring with him, they question themselves.
That's got to be the worst.
Yeah.
You get in the ring with someone, you're like, shit, I don't know if I'm cut out for this.
Yeah.
So,
So strategically and at the right time, at the right moment.
Yeah. Well, that's the business of boxing. For any of those fans that don't really understand the process it goes through to find somebody with that much talent and then to build them up. That's just the business of boxing.
And one thing that I really want to say it's important also is that he has a very strong team behind him. So it's not just his manager. He's got his dad is a great trainer. For him, his dad teaches him when to pull back, because Ryan wants to go full steam ahead. You literally see the dad pulling him back. We have great, strength and conditioning, cutmen, support structure, family structure. I mean, Ryan has it all. He's got the whole package. So when the team says he's ready, I can tell you, watch out. When everybody says he's ready, he's ready.
Well, I've been following him for a long time, and I saw when he had his first couple fights in Mexico. Right around the time that you signed him, and I think it's going to get real interesting now for him. I think all the fights from this point on are going to be a lot more competitive, a lot more relevant, and just overall pushing him to develop to becoming what potentially he can become. So for me as a fan, I'm very excited to see the next upcoming fights.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too.
So you got a number of other fighters that train out of Legendz, right?
Yeah, let's talk about that. You're a manager, and you also own Legendz Boxing in Norwalk. So you're a real boxing entrepreneur.
Yeah. Honestly, I never thought I'd be this involved in boxing. I didn't.
Sucks you
but in. I know. But when I wanted to open a gym, and we spoke, before I even opened my gym, you and I were talking, And I said, I want to open a gym, but I don't want to open just an average gym. I want to open a gym where we can have world-class sparring and training at. And I got lucky, and I found a location in the city of Norwalk, which I grew up in.
Yeah.
And I was able to find a really great deal on a building.
Well, you took me there, and it was just empty space.
Yeah.
And now I see all the pictures and videos. You got world champions.
Yeah.
You got a couple rings in there, lots of bags. It looks great.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're just getting going. We're just getting started. I have a continuous stream of fighters coming in from all over the world that they follow us and they see our videos and pictures online and social media. And now some of these guys are the ones that are saying, I want to train at the world famous, Legendz Boxing. I said, wait a minute. Well, I guess you could say that. You are from Europe,
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
How many champions do you have training there now? I know there's at least 4 or 5, right? There's just quite
I believe
a few.
so, yeah. Most of them, like I said, come in and out. And, I have the head trainer there's Manny Robles, and he has, Oscar Valdez, Jesse Magdaleno. And Jesse just had a loss right now, but he'll be back. He's a great fighter, and that was a good fight as well. But at the end of the day, it's just a constant, in and out of different fighters that are looking for that quality sparring. That's what they're looking for.
But that has quickly become the go-to spot for world class and boxers looking to become world class. Go-to spot for sparring and for training, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a pretty big accomplishment.
Pretty big.
Right?
Marco has this way of downplaying things by putting, that's pretty good in
Not
front
bad,
of
not
bad.
That's pretty good. You got some world champions.
You're doing
and
all
stuff.
right.
That's good.
Yeah. How long has the gym been open?
Officially about 7 months.
7 months?
Yeah.
Okay.
I still got a lot of work to do there, and then we're gonna do our grand opening soon. I keep saying that, but I'm so busy with some of the different stuff, like Ryan and another project we're working on is we are bringing, I want to say, Adidas Boxing really into boxing. Adidas Boxing is it's the way it's set up is you have Adidas corporate, and then they have these licensing companies that take on, like, for example, Adidas basketball, Adidas soccer. So they're separate companies that are independent. They all answer to corporate. But Adidas Boxing, a while back, I believe 2 years ago, they pulled back. And then the owner of that license took on all MMA and contact sports. So that company owns the rights to all contact sports worldwide for Adidas. And so now they're reintroducing Adidas Boxing into pro boxing, which they really didn't have a presence. So we're helping them here at Legendz Boxing to do that and to facilitate them on the West Coast. So we're finalizing our agreement with them, but we will be their Adidas Boxing's West Coast Director of Sales.
Wow.
That's awesome. Yeah,
That's a big deal.
Adidas, for anyone who's not aware, it's actually a pretty popular brand in the UK. I mean, for boxing, obviously everyone knows what Adidas is. It hasn't historically been popular in the United States for boxing equipment.
They're huge in amateur.
Amateur, yeah.
Amateur
It's
is
in
huge.
the Olympics.
They're big in amateur, and they're big in the UK for professional. And my understanding is the quality of Adidas gloves and some of the equipment that they've been producing has been increasing over time.
Well,
looking to compete with the likes of Fly and other big brands that are in the UK.
And that was one of my biggest concerns when I first looked at Adidas. And they also, I brought them on board with Ryan as far as them sponsoring him. So I said, look, Ryan's used to the best. So if your equipment isn't up to par, you could be the king of the world as far as equipment companies, but if he doesn't like it, he's not going to use it. So we literally sat there and we went through a few prototypes of upgraded gloves and improving their gloves to the point where now we can look at it and we can take those gloves and compete with anybody anybody in the pro industry. Everlast, Grant, Cleto Reyes. So the gloves are superior. The leathers on the gloves are superior, and they're made in the USA. So you can't say that about any other company, that their gloves and the raw materials, the leather, is made in the USA.
Yeah, that's true. Even the Flies and the Winnings, none of them are actually manufactured.
Yeah, exactly. Here. And we're directly creating those those gloves to compete with those companies, with the Winnies, with the Cleto Reyes, with the Grants.
Yeah.
And we're customizing them here in the USA. And when that line comes out, you guys are going to be blown away. Their stuff
I hope so, yeah.
Awesome. Their stuff is great. And then you look at the other side of Adidas. You look at the apparel side. I mean, people don't go in and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go into a, Everlast store and buy me some Everlast shoes. I'm not going to go in and buy me an Everlast outfit. You hear people say, I'm going to go get me an Adidas jogger, some Adidas shoes, and I'm going to look cool, And that's the difference with Adidas. They have that X factor. They're hot. They're trendy,
Yeah, I actually think from a design aesthetic standpoint, I love Adidas gloves, the look of them. So like when you look at Adidas gloves that are popular in the UK, the predominantly white and black with like the 3 stripes and stuff like that. I love that stuff, man.
Yeah, so the idea here is to put Adidas on the map in pro boxing. So if you guys have fighters, gyms that want some equipment, give us a call and we'll take care of it.
Awesome.
Yeah, you should do a review.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unbox a pair of Adidas gloves.
Yeah, once we get a pair, absolutely.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff coming in. I mean, I've got truckloads of stuff coming in from Adidas.
Well, I think the interesting part about that is getting boxing equipment made in the USA. Gloves used to be made in the USA for a long time. Maybe 15 years ago, a little bit more than that. Everybody started shipping them to China or Pakistan, and
in Mexico.
In Mexico, yeah. And, Mexico makes some good gloves. And even in Pakistan, it makes some good gloves. But it has been, I've been trying to make my own gloves. I do make my own gloves, but it's very difficult to find anybody in the U.S. that makes gloves. So, I mean,
good gloves,
Yeah. To undertake that is quite a big challenge, because it's almost new territory again.
Yeah. But you need a company like Adidas to do that.
Yeah.
Because the reality of it, if I'm going to buy a pair of winning gloves and they're going to run me $600 a pair, that better be some really good materials, raw materials. I mean, those gloves better last me, you know. So that's why when you get a pair of Adidas gloves made in the USA with US-made leathers and you come back and you say, this glove is holding up, and they're less than winning.
I also
we also have some high-end gloves, but
I was gonna say I also think that because it's Adidas, there's more of a trust factor there. Like if you're developing from scratch your own brand and creating your own glove, it could be the best glove in the world, but nobody's used it for 6 months, a year, 2 years to sort of say, this is like a great glove and of suitable quality. Whereas, if you're getting into boxing, you're probably more likely to use a brand name product like Adidas, Everlast.
And don't get me wrong, Everlast is a great company. We also have an account, Legendz Boxing, it's its own entity, so we also have an account with Everlast. So we buy a lot of equipment from Everlast. People like Everlast. That's traditionally what is in the pro industry. So if I have fighters, like we said, coming in from everywhere, and they say, hey, get me a pair of Everlast Power Locks. You got it. We order it. We bring it in. I need some ramps. You got it. We order it. It comes in. So the same thing with Cleto Reyes. I have a good relationship with Cleto Reyes where we can buy direct from them. I can go on any company and say, it's not up to us what the fighters use. It's what the fighters want. So as the gym owner and owner of a retail store, for boxing equipment, I have to also have diversity.
So this is the guy for Adidas. That's good to know because, have you guys ever bought gloves on Amazon?
No.
See, I would never do that.
Yeah, you got to put them on.
Because, well, not just you can put them on, but I feel like half the gloves that are sold on Amazon are probably counterfeit. Like they're like, what I mean? Like that's not a real pair of Grant gloves or winning gloves that you're selling for $100 on the.
Well, most people want to touch the glove and try it.
I know. Yeah. So having the connection is where where it's at.
What's crazy is that I've been buying my gloves from Pakistan for years, and like you were saying, you get emails from so many different manufacturers that want to make gloves. I mean, I get emails all the time, and they're sending me pictures of Grant gloves or Reyes gloves, and it says like made in Mexico on the glove, and I'm like, these are made in Mexico. You make them? And they're like, yeah, we make them. So, I mean, I think that's a big problem. Counterfeits in boxing.
I tried it to make some gloves for Legendz Boxing gloves, but Yeah, when they tell you, go ahead and send the money first, you know, I said, no, I'm
Who
good.
knows where it's going?
Send me a small fortune. I'll send you back a bunch of boxing gloves sometime later.
Yeah, and then they'll just send you whatever they want to send you, which, you know, it won't be the same quality that you're expecting or what you want.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of decisions when it comes to gloves. I think, like in terms of, do you prefer like injection molded foam, layered foam padding? What kind of foam? Is it orthopedic foam? Is it carpet foam? Like, a lot of people probably don't realize that if you open a bunch of gloves that you buy around here just at local stores and stuff like that, it's probably carpet foam. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know.
Well, did you go through that whole process when you're looking at the gloves and designing them? Like
we opened them up. We cut them up. No, I made it easy. I said, for example, you know, I'm not going to hide it. Copy what is already successful.
Yeah, the good ones. Yeah.
So that's not my job to sit there and figure it out, open the glove and see what kind of material it is. I said, you're the manufacturer. You're the glove maker. Give me the exact thing, only with your, you know, little twist here and there, and put Adidas on it.
Yeah.
As long as my fighter's happy with it, I'm happy with it. You know, I'm not going to sit there and say, well, this is a wrong kind of horsehair, or this is a wrong kind of padding on the inside. That's your job to figure it out. You know, just give me the end result. Like they say, I don't want to hear the labor pains. I just give me the baby.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, you just want a good glove, right? Yeah.
Well, I'd be interested in seeing, you know, when the gloves get to market and how the penetration is in the gyms with the elite fighters, because right now a lot of the elite fighters like to use the winning glove. Yeah. So it will be interesting to see.
Yeah. I already have some elite fighters already on board with them.
Yeah.
So you'll hear some real cool names coming up soon.
That's exciting.
Yeah. I feel like I see more and more fly every day though, especially from UK fighters. You've never seen it?
I've never seen it.
It's like, I think in the UK it probably surpasses winning now as like the number one used glove by pro fighters. Fly.
It's because winning's expensive.
Flies are expensive
ridiculously
too.
Expensive.
Yeah. Flies are expensive too.
I mean, you're talking like almost $2,000 if you want everything. You know, headgear, cup, gloves. Yeah. And if you want a little bit custom colors.
But everyone swears by it, though. Everyone who gets it swears by it.
You know what? You know what's crazy? I've seen a lot of gloves. You know, I've seen the winning gloves, and you know, it's supposed to be good for protecting your hands, I guess. But it doesn't look that. It to me, it looks really thin.
Does it?
Yeah, it looks really thin. You know, I don't know what it is.
It's everybody's different. I probably tried on 50. I wear Sabas.
That's a good glove.
Yeah, it's a decent glove.
Well, I mean, Adidas is doing headgear, groin protectors.
Yeah.
You know, quick lace wraps. I mean, you name it.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
That is really cool. I would like to see some Adidas stuff once you guys start producing it. Yeah. I'm kind of excited.
I should have some this week.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'll keep my eyes out for that box of goodies you send us.
Absolutely.
Test it out.
Absolutely. You're going to have to come down and get it, though.
Yeah. I work out
just
in that
so you
direction.
come to the gym. That's
I'll stop by.
Yeah.
That's funny. Awesome. Oh, you know, so we talked about Ryan. We talked about Legendz Boxing Gym, which is quickly becoming a Legend Boxing Gym, right? And
world famous.
Yeah, world famous. And then, you know, as a boxing entrepreneur, you also have BoxStats, which is we haven't talked about BoxStats yet, right?
No.
So I think the two most influential, I guess, presence on the web is BoxRec one, and then BoxStats. Tell us a little bit more about BoxStats and how you develop that, what it is, where it's going.
Well, BoxStats is it's a research app for boxers, you know. So going on BoxStats, you're able to not only look at the box record, and you're able to do, like, if you sit in front of a computer and you want to research your opponent, I mean, you want to know his record, you want to know his background, and you want to see video on him. So right now, sit in front of a PC, you're going to have to go to 3 different sites for that, you know. So BoxStats, what it does is it brings them all to your fingertips. So that 20-minute search that you're doing on there, you do it in 30 seconds. So that's the difference. That's the basic platform for it. But to really get into it, BoxStats is a search aggregate. So it's like a mini Google, a mini Yahoo for boxing, and it's only for boxing. So I can add anything. I mean, I have your gym in there. It has a gym locator that uses your cell phone's GPS signal to help you find the nearest boxing gym. I have built-in stores in there that I'm able to sell. So now Adidas Boxing is going to be on there as well. We're going to sell all the Adidas equipment on there. We're Legendz Boxing is also an official gym to sell Golden Boy apparel and equipment also. So we're going to be selling that on the app as well. I mean, I'm doing as much as I can with the top companies in boxing to put them on the platform of BoxStats, and it's a worldwide platform. You know, I'm in 71 countries all over the world. I think we're close to 200,000 downloads already everywhere, and it grows every day. Because I've been focusing most of my time on the gym right now, getting it up and running, and Ryan, you know, he's having such great success. Some of the projects that I've been wanting to do with BoxStats I haven't gotten to yet, but all that's coming, especially with Adidas on board, and just a bunch of other cool projects that we have coming up with it.
So BoxStats is your brainchild? You
Yes.
came up with the concept of BoxStats?
Yes. Well, my wife will argue that she came up with it, you know, which she really did. So I'm gonna give her credit.
We'll give her the
I'll give her credit for
She's
that. But at the end of the day, it was a necessity. You know, they say invention is the mother of all necessity. I really, when I got into boxing and I had some fighters that I was helping, there wasn't anything. And I would say there's got to be an app. There's an app for everything. So how do I find out more information on that opponent? And when I realized there wasn't any app for it, then that's when we started developing it.
Yeah, well, it's as a coach, you know, when I get offers, you know, for my fighters to get fights, if I can't find any video on the guy, I'm like, we won't take it. It's okay. Yeah. So, yeah, that's definitely a useful tool, you know, and as much information as you can get in one place, it helps you make a decision. I mean, it's a good app for the coaches.
Do you and your wife develop the app as well, or you have somebody else do that?
Well, you know, it's funny because a lot of some of the best ideas I have, you know, I bounce them off of my wife, and we talk about it, and we say, hey, what do you think of this? And you know, if we both agree, it's usually a good idea. Yeah.
If she tells you no, it's not a good idea.
Yeah, then I'm like second guessing myself. I'm like those opponents that fight Ryan Garcia. Man, should I really be doing this?
That's funny. Yeah, the voice of reason.
Yeah.
So when you when you want to introduce a new feature, like for instance, and you said you have some ideas for ways that you want to expand it. I'm sure you guys socialize that, but how do you get it into the app, or like, you know?
Well, we have one of the top app developers working with us.
Oh, okay.
So once we tell them this is what we like to do, they tell us how we can do it.
Okay.
You know?
Cool.
And I've never, you know, told them an idea and they said, yeah, that's going to be too hard. They said, it's going to take us longer, but we can get it done.
Yeah. And what platforms is it available on?
Right now, it's still available only on the iOS, Android.
Okay, cool.
iOS, Apple.
Okay.
Because Android would just take me a little bit longer to do, and it would require me to really put aside, I'd say, a good month, you know, to really get on it. And I just have so many things going on. I'll get to it, but you know, I'm only one, you know. Well, I have my team. I do have a team.
Yeah.
But we focus on what we think, you know, we got to develop now in front of us, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you've got a lot on your plate, you know, with Adidas, with Ryan, with the gym, with the app, and some of those things still have to develop, you know, to reach their full potential. But earlier you mentioned, you know, you're also looking for the next Ryan Garcia, right? So where do you find somebody like that?
It's not easy, but he's gonna come somewhere from the amateur background. I'd love to get a Mexican heavyweight with a great amateur background. You know, at our gym we have Andy Ruiz. I call him my nephew because we have the same last name. Andy's a beast. He's Mexican and he's a heavyweight and he's kicking butt. You know, so Andy Ruiz is a great fighter. But you know, I don't manage him. You know, I didn't bring him up. I didn't start him up. So, you know, I love building. So I'm looking for the next, you know, superstar, heavyweight.
He had a fight with Parker, didn't he? Andy Ruiz? Or I'm thinking about somebody else.
Andy Ruiz, no. I think he's got a fight coming up.
Okay. What's his record?
I believe he's 17-0.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty good for a Mexican heavyweight, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, he trains there at Legendz Boxing. We also have Dominic Brazil, who's got a shot coming up, I believe, at Deontay Wilder.
Oh, he's training at Legendz?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Dominic posting some stuff on Instagram, and I just made a comment that, because he's working out after his workout,
Yeah.
And I just commented that you're going to get another shot. I think he's going to get another shot at the title. He's supposed to fight Wilder, right? Didn't that get on the news or something
He's
like that?
I believe he's the #1 contender.
Yeah.
So he's supposed to be fighting him. So that's why he keeps calling him out, saying, "Come on, dude,
Yeah, I think it depends on which belt, and I'm not sure how the rotation works.
Well, I'd love to
So
see him
like
get
the
another
WBC, the Wilder has the WBC belt, and I thought the mandatory was actually Dillian White, but I'm not sure.
I think it's
It changes all the
Dominic.
time.
I think it's Dominic. Yeah.
And I have seen a lot of improvement in Dominic since he fought Joshua. I don't know if he had 2 fights since then or 1 fight, but I saw one. Yeah, that 1 fight.
He looked good.
He looked really good. He took some hard shots, but he came back, made some adjustments, and then he finished the guy.
And he's working really hard. I mean, that guy comes in early, doesn't leave till late, and then he goes home and works out again.
Yeah.
So he's really determined. I mean, I'm a big fan of Dominic Brazil, the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah, and he's a hometown guy, so we're rooting for him. As much as I like Wilder.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of Wilder. I'm not gonna.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not gonna hide it. Yeah.
What don't you like about him?
Hard to say.
It's hard to say, but
Everything.
You can't put your finger on it.
No.
Yeah.
I think what it is it's a more personal reason. They had an issue with Dominic Brazil.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they physically assaulted, like the whole
I remember
team.
that. Yeah, it was like in the hotel lobby or something.
Yeah, and then they did it
After
in front of
fight.
his wife and kids
Yeah.
while they were right in the middle of it. You know what I mean? So to me, that's just a chump move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I'm gonna call you out and I have a beef with you, I'm gonna say, let's step outside. You know what I mean? But this guy,
I do remember
guy, just to be out there bold and talking craziness, that's not cool.
Who wins the fight between Wilder and Joshua, in your opinion?
Joshua's just a natural athlete. He's stronger. He's in his prime right now. Joshua is in his prime. So is Wilder, but at the end of the day, Wilder is a little bit wilder,
Yeah.
A little bit. A lot.
and Joshua's more composed. I mean, Joshua is a beast,
Yeah.
But
I think.
but he has that what's called controlled rage, Wilder just goes nuts.
Yeah, he hits you one time and then he like runs at you.
Well, he almost got taken out by Ortiz. Ortiz wobbled him.
Ortiz is no joke though.
Yeah, he hits like a tank. Yeah.
Yeah, the dude's a monster. Yeah. There's no shame in almost getting taken out board by Ortiz. It's just kind of a pick 'em though, because it's like one of those things where I don't feel like Deontay Wilder on any planet is going to outbox Anthony Joshua, but he could hit anybody and they could go down. So it's kind of like
he's got the punch.
Yeah, he's got the punch. It's just like anybody who has the punch. If he could land one, then sure he could win. But it's like
I think he's got more of a puncher's chance though too. Because a lot of times you have fights and they're kind of one-sided where you say, well, he's got a puncher's chance. That just means like if he's lucky enough to hit the guy, he could get him. But sometimes I feel like Wilder he's got the puncher's chance, but a little bit more than that too.
Well, you guys saw the Klitschko Joshua fight, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he got knocked down. I mean, against Klitschko.
It's a great fight.
I mean, that guy hits like a tree trunk coming at you, and against him, and he goes down, and he comes back and he knocks him down, So I got I gave him a lot of respect for that. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Awesome.
So let me ask you guys something. I've been wanting to talk about this, so I'm going to bring it up because I'm curious how it would apply to you. Are you guys familiar with the Ultimate Boxer tournament?
The one that's the Russians, a lot of the Russian guys are in it.
Yeah, well, what happened?
Never heard of it.
You didn't hear it?
No, you told me about it.
So check it out. So 2 weeks ago, they had an Ultimate Boxer tournament, and what they did is it was in the UK, it was in Manchester, England, and they took 10 guys who are relatively young in their careers, or excuse me, 8 guys, relatively young in their careers. They're all undefeated, all with less than 10 fights, okay? And they fought each other in one day. So there are 3 rounds, the quarterfinal, semifinal, final. And the grand prize was like 16,000 pounds, which is like $19,000. So the guy who won, his name is Drew Brown, who's actually the youngest of the group. So he went in. By the time he was done, he was 10-0. He started the night at 7-0 or something like that. So the format is it's 3 rounds. So it's professional boxing, 3 rounds each. Would you guys consider putting your fighters in a tournament like that? So you got young guys He's got to fight 3 times in one night. But the upside is, if you win the tournament, then there's some notoriety related to it. There's probably a bigger payday than you would see for any one fight that young in your career most of the time.
I mean, the way I look at it, that's just more geared towards show business, entertainment, the promoter making money, and exploiting these young fighters that are hungry and they want to get their name out there, So if I had a serious fighter that I was considering, managing and moving up, I wouldn't put him in a tournament like that.
I didn't think so. That's why I was curious to ask about this because,
I mean,
what's the upside, I guess?
It seems more like a last-ditch effort to get yourself out there, and I don't see really the benefit, except that if nobody really is taking you serious, and if you can pull this off, then maybe people will take you serious.
Yeah, I think it would be better suited for somebody with like an underdog record, somebody with a losing record or with some losses on the record, and because it is risk to reward with the undefeated records and a real prospect to kind of put them in that situation. But if you got somebody with a couple losses and maybe it's like their last chance, then that would be more suitable.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily. First, let me say it was highly entertaining. So when you watch it, it was very entertaining to watch.
Because they're killing each other.
It's part of it is the 3-round format's really interesting. Going into the second round normally what just happened, and you now have only 2 rounds to correct it. You have to win the next 2 rounds, right? So it's like 3 rounds is such a short time, and you kind of everyone's able to keep track of who's up and who's down. It's not that hard.
It's more for entertainment, for the promoter, the producer, who's ever putting it together. They're like, look, we're going to put these guys on. They're all pros, and they're going to kill each other till the end.
I actually thought it was entertaining, but I wasn't sure it was the best thing for the fighters in their careers. The only thing I could think of is, I guess if you're an undefeated fighter but doesn't really draw fans, doesn't have a crowd.
It's a gimmick.
Yeah, like if you're someone who, you're sitting here, you're like, I'm 7-0, but nobody comes to see me, you know what I mean? Then maybe this is a way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I'm waiting for the Contender to come out again. Didn't they say they were casting for that
did.
again?
They said they were casting for the
Alfonso
Contender.
Gomez has some part in it.
Oh, really?
He trains also with us at Legendz Boxing, and I know he's all happy that he's participating in some way. I think originally he was gonna shoot for a fighter position, but he says that he worked something out where he's going to do something else. So I'm curious to see where that goes.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of the Contender when it first came out.
Really?
And Alfonso, he came in second, I think. I
believe so, yeah.
Yes, and he got some big fights out of that. He got a fight with Cotto, and
Did Sergio Mora come from the Contender?
Yeah.
I
believe he's the one that
the
won
Latin
it, right?
Snake.
Yeah.
Sergio Mora.
Yeah, Alfonso fought Cotto, Canelo,
and
then he
Gotti
retired
too.
Gotti. Yeah, he was the last fight for Gotti.
So, he got some notoriety, some payday, some recognition.
Yeah. So. Sergio Mora got out there a little bit too. He fought Shane Mosley and a couple other guys. He just fought Alfredo Angulo not too long ago.
I'm excited to see the Contender. I think they did 5-round fights, so that was. I don't know about 3 rounds because kind of going back to the amateur and just changes the whole style. Like
it changes a lot. Yeah, 3 rounds actually. When you watch it, you're like 3 rounds changes a lot of the dynamic.
You throw
of boxing.
technique out the window at that point.
A good boxer can easily lose a 3-round match.
Yeah.
But be superior. That's right, because you see good boxers a lot of times take time to find timing and build up and sort of they extend as
adjust
it goes
to
on.
your opponent.
Yeah, exactly. There's not really an opportunity to adjust to someone who's just like out there throwing.
Who's just going wild with everything he's got for 3 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's so it was interesting.
Well, for me, anything that's boxing and gets our sport out there and brings in more fans, I'm all for it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of all publicity is good publicity.
I could see people being fans of the format.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that it will happen again. Yeah. They'll do more of them. Yeah.
I'm surprised you haven't been hit up for a reality show with Ryan.
We have a show we're working on with Legendz Boxing.
There you go.
That will be circling or surrounding the gym and what goes on in the gym. So that's coming up soon also.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, a who's who if you're in town, if you're visiting LA from wherever and you're a boxing fan, you need to stop at Legendz because you'll see some of your favorite fighters there.
Yeah.
It's a great place.
We always have something going on, either media workout for this guy, interviews for somebody else, television, radio. I mean, there's always something going on. Either HBO, Showtime, ESPN, Univision, you name it, they're there.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
So we're running a little bit low on time. Why don't we just do a quick recap of the fights that happened the last 2 weeks?
Okay.
And then we can wrap it up if you guys are cool with that.
Let's do it.
If you guys have comments on any of them, feel free to jump in. I'll just kind of rattle off some of the biggest things since we missed last week. So Danny Jacobs and Selecki, that was the WBA mandatory contender for the middleweight. It was a finals eliminator, so the winner of that became WBA mandatory contender for Triple G's title. Obviously, Danny Jacobs won a unanimous decision it's a little bit exposed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys saw it. It was a competitive fight, probably more competitive than people expected it to be.
Yeah.
Jarrell Big Baby Miller got a unanimous decision over Johan, and I don't even know how to say his last name, actually.
Where's he from?
Duapas, I guess.
Close enough.
So
Sounds good.
There's an interesting thing about that. So Jarrell Miller was clearly winning. He was up, had basically won every round. Going into the last round, he goes to his corner, and the instruction he received was, this is a quote, forgive me, but his corner man told him, I want you to go out there and send that motherfucker to the moon.
It's good instruction.
Sounded like a right hook.
But
I think.
he won 11 rounds.
Oh, wow.
Right? So, like part of it is that just because he understands that you need to show, you need to put on a good showing on TV, or is it like...
No, you need to knock his ass out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I get what it means, but, his corner knows he's clearly going to win at this point. Why take the risk of
well, I mean, if he won 11 rounds and he won them convincingly, then...
He did.
almost then...
Why take the risk?
Not why take the risk, but the coach is probably thinking, finish the guy.
Yeah, maybe.
You're beating him. Why beat him some more? Just finish him.
Yeah.
But
it was an interesting corner instruction, but it was definitely fun to watch. You mentioned earlier Jesse Magdaleno. There was the TKO. He was stopped over Isaac Dogbo for the WBO super bantamweight title. I guess that one would be.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Triple G last night, Martirosyan.
I mean, the guy hasn't fought in 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Took the fight against, the top guy with 2 weeks?
Yeah.
With 2 weeks' notice?
Yeah.
He probably had another week. Let's say 3 weeks. But
3 weeks notice.
Yeah, that's a tough position to be in for
Did you guys watch that?
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't.
I just saw the highlights, but
then you saw it.
Yeah, but I mean, Triple G landed every punch at the end right there.
I was surprised that I do think he was a little bit hurt in the first round. He got caught with some shots that he wasn't expecting.
I figured
Triple
it'd be
G
over
was
quick, so I said, let me look on Instagram. I'm sure it's going to be on here in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was, there's a few people on social media saying I wouldn't be surprised if Martirosyan won. Because I guess he's a dangerous fighter. He's been avoided by a lot of people. He's been in with some pretty skilled guys. But, dude, from what I hear from people who spar Triple G and other coaches and trainers and just other fighters, he's on another level as far as his power.
Yeah.
When he hits you, it's something different. You can't. It's nothing you prepared for. So, I mean, it looks like that's true.
Vanes was trained by Ronda Rousey's trainer. So
that guy will never be a guest on the podcast.
Vanes was trained by Ronda Rousey's trainer. I was surprised by that, but
yeah,
I
want to ask Roger a question. Has Ryan ever, if you can tell us, has Ryan ever sparred against Oscar Valdez or Jesse Magdaleno?
No, they're
different.
Those well, first of all, when they were both there training, they were both world champions, and they're training for their prospective fights.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're at that level, you want to get sparring that is comparable to what your opponent's going to be. So they fight at 126. Ryan fights at 130. And when Ryan's sparring, he's probably, let's say, 135 to 138. So he's going to be too heavy for them. So if I'm their trainer, why would you spar them when you're, this is the opponent you're fighting over here at 126, so you can't be moving up and fighting these heavier guys, So it never would really make sense to spar him.
Well, just wondering because the skill level, with those guys in the ring would be pretty entertaining to watch at least.
No, you know what's entertaining is watching Ryan spar with Jorge Linares, Vasily Lomachenko. That's entertaining.
Yeah.
He sparred both of them.
Oh, really?
And he sparred them over a year ago when he was still, in my opinion, his body hadn't developed like it is a little bit now. It's developing more, so he's a lot stronger now. And he went toe-to-toe with Lomachenko for 6 rounds. And Linares also, before we even signed with Golden Boy, he sparred with him. And that's the one fighter that Ryan will tell you, man, that guy hits hard.
Linares?
Linares, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And that fight's coming up, right?
On the 12th.
The 12th.
Yeah, on the 12th. Linares actually, he had to change trainers because his trainer was committed to David Hay for this fight that just happened yesterday.
Yeah, and Linares also put in a good word with Golden Boy when after we sparred that. He actually called Golden Boy and said, hey, you guys really need to look at this young fighter. He's really good.
He said, yeah, he's the real deal, huh?
So, we appreciate that, and, we got a lot of respect for Linares.
Marco and I always talk about how much we love watching Linares training videos, man.
His mitt work and his
like the
body
mitt work,
shots.
the bad work, the bag work. I mean, everything he's doing.
Yeah. Yeah, he's fast. He's real fast.
And then, David Hay being the last one. He was crushed in 5 rounds.
Man, I was hoping he'd put up a better fight, but, I think Bellew's he's an animal. He just wants, and there's a lot of bad blood between those two guys, so.
Yeah.
But I just hated to see David Hay kind of go out like that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Tony Bellew in the post-fight press conference said that David Hay will be remembered as a better fighter than he is.
Yeah, he's catching towards the end of his career.
Yeah, he'll be remembered as a better fighter than me, but yeah.
Sounds like me in training. I'm currently what is it? A contender for trainer of the year. I've only trained 2 people, so we'll see.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and they were both never fought in their lives. So I said, I got you. Don't worry.
Yeah. You're like, I got this.
Well, there's a saying, every trainer thinks they're the best trainer in the world.
There you go.
Don't you have to? If you're a fighter or a trainer,
you got to be confident.
Yeah,
you got to say, I got this. Let's do it.
You can't be a fighter and be like, man, there's so many fighters who are better than me. It's crazy.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wrong sport.
I'm a decent trainer. Pretty good.
That's funny.
All right.
All right, to wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right. This is a great podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you guys for having us.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
You want to do a round of shout-outs? Anybody you want to say hello to? Say thank you?
Oh, man, that's a good one. Yeah, I want to give a shout-out to the United States of America.
What?
To the good old USA. I was in Pakistan for 1 week on a business trip, and the people were very nice there, and my business associates took good care of me while I was over there.
Good.
But I have to say, when I got back to the States, was I very thankful and appreciative for what we have here.
Yeah.
So I just want to give thanks to the good old USA for being my home.
Yeah. You feel it when you land in the airport. You're like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Glad to be alive. Glad to be here. Glad to be doing business here and knowing fine gentlemen like you guys.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
We're happy you're back.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
I didn't know you were gone, so yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm happy. I'm happy you're back.
Thanks.
I mean, for me, I won't say that. One of the fights I didn't mention, Ruiz versus Brockhouse. It was the undisputed welterweight women's championship. It's actually the first time that HBO has broadcast a woman's fight, which I don't know that's. I can't tell if that's like a worthy of a shout out or not. I'm meaning it's about time. I would think that like
come on HBO, get with it.
Yeah, like I feel like I want to say shout out to those girls. They put on a great fight. It was an extremely entertaining fight, and thanks to HBO for getting with it. But I don't know if that's like get with the program.
Yeah, I love women's boxing just because it's more boxing,
You would love that fight. You should watch it. If you didn't see it yet, it was a good fight. Yeah. Anybody you want to say anything to?
No, just thank you guys for having me on. As always, you're always welcome. Also,
thank you.
Down at Legendz Boxing. Look forward to working with you guys with Adidas Boxing. And anything I can do, you guys know where to reach me. Elite Pro Manager on Instagram. And I believe I'm Roger Reese on Facebook and BoxStats on Facebook. And what else do I got? Legendz Boxing on Instagram.
And get the BoxStats app.
And get
That's
the BoxStats app.
Download the app today. I'm going to download it right now.
All right, sounds good.
All right, thanks, guys. Signing off.
All right, peace.